Good morning guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you guys are new, I'm Caitlin and I'm sure you can tell by the title this is going to be an update video and we have a lot to update you guys on. I've been holding out for the past couple of weeks, which has been so hard. I will get into all of that today, but obviously from the title of the video, we're moving to Arizona. We're actually from Arizona, if you guys are new. We lived there 2 years ago and now we're moving back and I'm so excited. I'm definitely emotional about it. This video is making it feel a little bit more real too, so I'm interested to see how I feel just talking about it because I haven't yet, and I haven't even been able to like talk about it a lot in my personal life just because life has been so hectic and we made this decision very, very fast, which is also kind of scary, which I'll talk about today. I don't want this whole video to be a life update, but I do want to kind of go into like change and things like that. I actually did a Q&A on Instagram a couple of days ago and asked you guys to ask me questions. So we're gonna do like part Q&A, part life update, and I think it'll be fun. It's actually the last time I'll be filming right here, which is super sad, but I did grab a spring water and I also have a coffee. So we're caffeinated and hydrated for today's sit down video. So let's get into the elephant in the room, why we're moving back to Arizona, and just pretty much all of that. If you guys are new here, we live in Orange County and we moved here 2 years ago from Arizona. Hunter graduated college and we literally moved the next week. And we've actually never been adults in Arizona. We've never had full-time jobs. We've never had a house in Arizona. So we're actually so excited, and obviously all of our families are there and so many of our really close friends are also in Arizona. So it's going to be the best thing in the entire world. But I can't lie and say that we're not really sad about leaving California. One, because we made this decision very fast. If you guys remember my Easter vlog, we went home to Arizona and we were still very up in the air about if we wanted to move home. I toured a couple places there just for fun, but we did end up choosing a house that we actually stayed in that weekend. The renter let us stay there and kind of like test it out with our dog, which was really nice of her. She's a really cool landlord. That also kind of persuaded us because it just felt like everything was kind of working out. And I'm a firm believer that when things just like work out for you, you don't have to like try and fit a square into a circle. It's just meant to be. And I've always lived my life that way and it's always worked out. And even coming to California, we made that decision really quickly and it ended up being the best decision we've ever made. I would not give up the past 2 years of our lives for anything. Not only do we love California more than any other state, I'm not gonna lie, like Arizona, we love it, but that's more for the people and our family. But California, the state, is so beautiful. There's so many hikes, there's so many restaurants. The friends that we've made here also feel like family. Like I am just so grateful that I was able to meet friends that I got so close with. That was honestly my biggest worry about moving to a new state. I didn't know if I'd be able to feel that closeness that I felt with my friends in Arizona. And I'm so sad. That's honestly the most reason I'm sad to move, is just to move away from my friends that I've made here. But obviously they're my best friends and life is gonna go on. We're still gonna be close and you just kind of have to do things for yourself, and sometimes it's scary. Something I keep thinking about is every single time in my life that I've made a really big change and I was really worried about it, I ended up learning so much from it and it changed my life. So I'm so sad to be leaving California, obviously. But one, the first thing that kind of like started this process is we knew we wanted to move houses just because we don't have any storage here and the clutter of this house started to feel like very overwhelming. We obviously love this house and we're so grateful to be able to have this house, but that's kind of the first thing. We're like, oh, maybe we should move. But then we're like, okay, it's kind of pointless to move and then rent again, because then it's like all of the costs for moving didn't really feel worth it to just like move down the street. I don't know, it just felt like we've only lived here for a year. I was starting to question myself, being like, am I just being dramatic? Like, am I always wanting something more? Like, oh, this house is perfect, but it doesn't have closets. Like, I started to doubt myself and I was like, I don't even know if moving and then renting would be worth it. Like, we would lose so much money doing that. So then we started thinking, well, let's buy. We got pre-qualified. We weren't able to find anything in California. Then it started to feel like we were trying to put a square in a circle, and I was just like, okay, this is not working out, nothing's falling into place. And then the first time I felt that feeling of like everything's falling into place is when we went to Arizona. When we went and stayed there, it just felt right. I vlogged in that house a little. I didn't mention anything about staying there because the house was still on Zillow at the time, and I was just like worried to say anything because what if someone else found it through that video? Or what if I jinxed it, something like that. I feel like also because my parents moved that weekend, like I got to like see them moving and I was like, okay, like moving isn't that scary, like we can do it. And my mom was talking about like starting fresh and being in her new place. and it got me excited about moving because even though I hate moving and like it's a huge annoying thing, like I actually really love fresh starts, and I feel like moving has always been something that like inspires me, and I genuinely like to move. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And yeah, it started to be like, okay, well, if we are moving to rent again, maybe it does like make sense to spend all of that money to move again if we're moving to a new area. Like we're obviously moving to Arizona. It's going to be a new area. We've never lived in this area before. It's called Scottsdale, if you guys aren't familiar with Arizona. But in California, we loved this area so much that we didn't want to move to any other area, so it didn't feel like it was worth it, and we also couldn't find anything to buy. Hunter and I already know we're going to be traveling to Arizona so much this year because one, we have multiple weddings that are destination wedding. We also don't have a sitter in California that we like trust, so we'd be having to drive to Arizona, fly to these other places. It just started to make so much sense. And even though partially we're like tied to California, we're like, oh, I just like don't want to not have the beach. I don't want to not have my friends here, my spin studio. Like there's so many things we love about California and our routine here. Also, just the independence of moving here has honestly changed our lives. Like I've never felt so like sure of myself and confident just being in my own routine here. But there's obviously pros and cons to that because me and my mom were talking about it, and I haven't seen my mom more than twice this year because her work schedule is so busy, my work schedule is so busy. It's so hard to like find weekends that we can both hang out. And then my dad has his golf shop that he opened a year ago, and he hasn't been able to really come in much except for holidays since opening that store. So when we first moved here, we really got to see our family a lot, and Hunter's family obviously just came here, but they also only came here that one time. So I'm such a family person. I feel like some people might be like, okay, this is being codependent, whatever. I don't really care. Like I really love spending time with my parents. I like honestly would choose going to my parents' house for dinner, going out to eat with my family over hanging out with friends or doing anything. Honestly, like they are the most important part of my life, and I feel like I don't want to look back one day and like regret not doing it just because it's right in front of us. And I don't want to say like, oh, this is the reason we're moving, because in a year we will probably move back to California. Hunter and I have talked about it a million times, like this is where we want to buy a house and we probably will move home. It's more like we have one more year to rent. Why would we not go spend it next to our family? If obviously when we want to buy a house, we want to live there for the next 5-7 years. So it's kind of like the only time in the next 5 to 10 years where we can rent again. So why not rent in Arizona? Also, we're not tied to anything obviously in California. We haven't bought anything yet. What if we move home and we're like, wow, this is actually where we want to be? And we've talked about even in the next 6 months or so getting a place here that's maybe like a condo and seeing how we like doing part-time. Like literally it just feels like right now that the world is our oyster, and even though I'm very nervous, I'm very sad about it, very excited about it, I just feel like life could take us in so many different directions. And not only do I want to bring you guys around for that, but I'm excited for it, Hunter's excited for it, and Coco's gonna have family to be close to again, which I'm so excited about. So I just think this is gonna be the best thing ever. Not only is the house also just perfect and stunning and my personality to a T in a house, and Hunter's, but you know, I'm like more into the home decor and stuff. But I don't want to bore you guys, but a little side note too that just was like something that made me feel like it was working out so perfectly is I actually found this house on Zillow, because I've always been looking on Zillow in Arizona. It's always been in the back of my head. I found this house, I sent it to my friend. We were like, this is the most beautiful house. It is exactly what I would like design if I was building a house. I love the backyard, I love the kitchen, I love the closet space, I love that there's guest bedrooms, an office, like actually the best house in the entire world. Then I think I like requested to tour it or something, and then it went off market, and I was so sad about it. Like I literally was like, oh, that actually sucks. Like that felt like it was our house. And then 3 months go by, I obviously forgot about it because somebody else had the house, I thought. And at the time when I was actually looking at it, I just remembered it was for sale at the time. So I thought somebody bought the house. And then I'm looking at houses to rent, and that house pops up, and I was like, whoa. It was just like weird too, because 3 months ago we wouldn't have been ready to move home. It didn't make sense at the time. And even when I saw that house, I knew that. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like we are not ready to move home, but this is a perfect house. And I knew that, but for some reason now, like 3 months later, I mean, you're constantly growing, you're constantly having different conversations, whatever, and letting things marinate. Now I feel 10 times more ready to move home than I did 3 months ago. Like 3 months ago, I was like, no, things are pulling me here way too much. And yeah, I don't know, it just ended up working out perfectly. So that's what's going on in our life right now. We actually move next week, which is so soon. I'm also very sorry that I'm like telling you guys and then we're moving in a week. It feels like I've been like holding on to it, but one, we actually didn't really find out until maybe 3 weeks ago. Two, I really wanted to tell my friends in person just because obviously I don't want to just like post and then be like, oh, I forgot to tell XYZ, and it's just something that I feel like you want to like be able to share privately, even if it is over text or whatever. So I was making sure that I did that, and then also I just wanted to like take it in and I don't know, like not be sad about it and just be ready for it, and just been hectic. So I wanted to wait and share it in a Q&A style life update video. So I hope you guys are excited, and maybe you guys missed some of the Arizona content because we love Arizona. We love the restaurants, we love the vibe in Arizona, and we have so many friends there, so it's gonna be fun. Also, this house is really nice for hosting and having friends come stay with us, which is gonna be literally just like a whole new world, fun things, and I'm super excited. So I hope you guys are excited and are ready to follow along with all of the Arizona vlogs and the Arizona era, because I am an Arizona girl. I do feel like I thrive in Arizona. As much as I feel like I thrive here, I feel like it's just like a little bit more me in Arizona because that's obviously where I was raised and I just love it so much. So I'm very excited, but let's move on. Let's get into a question that's very related to this. How do you adapt and change? I started a new job and I feel like my routine is all over the place. What do I do? I love that question because clearly right now my life is changing and I've always been scared of change. Like, I'm a routine person, so even something small like going on a trip, I'd be like, oh, like my daily routine's gonna get mixed up, my workout routine's gonna get mixed up, my nutrition, whatever, and I would kind of like fear the future. And recently I've just realized so much in life that when I do change things up, not only does it make me more sure of the things that I genuinely love in my routine, but two, it helps me take a step back. And I'm such a busybody and I'm constantly moving from task to task. I'm like moving at a million miles an hour, and when there is this huge change in life, it's very obvious. Therefore you can plan for it, you can really focus on it and think, okay, so I'm starting a new job, so maybe I also want to start a new morning routine that fits really well with it. Or okay, I'm starting a new job, so I need to be mindful of the fact that these are the hours I'm working and this is when I want to get to the gym. So it helps you actually make a plan rather than just kind of going through the motions and maybe something small here is changing, something small here is changing. Like, a big change makes you very aware of it, and I think that's a good thing. So maybe just focusing on that bird's eye view of it rather than thinking like, oh God, it's gonna like mess up this in my life, because if it does mess up something else that you thought was really important, maybe it wasn't meant for you. Because I'm a huge believer that everything is meant to happen into your life. Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. So even like our move to Arizona, there's things in California, like for example, my spin studio. It's like, I just genuinely love it so much. I thought maybe one day I would even be an instructor there or something like that. And then in my head, I'm like, it obviously isn't right for me because that's not in the line anymore. Like, if it was meant for me and I was supposed to do that here, then there would be a reason why I'd be staying, you know what I mean? So I genuinely think everything happens for a reason. Or even like maybe there's a gym in Arizona that I don't even know about yet, I've never even been to yet. Maybe in 3 months I will be an instructor there and could change all of the lives of the people who are in my classes, and I don't even know it exists yet, you know what I mean? So change is a good thing. It's freaking scary. I'm not saying that I'm like, oh yeah, like change is fine. I literally am the most anxious person that I know. So yes, it can be very scary, but it also can be really, really great. And good things always come from change. I truly believe that. Next is, did you have fun in Miami? I know you're not much of a traveler, but I wanted to know if there's anything that you do on trips that help you. I do like to travel. I always enjoy the trips. I just am a little bit more of like an anxious person. So I don't travel frequently, and I also don't love getting thrown out of my routine. But the past couple of years, I haven't let that stop me, and I've talked about it and opened up about it on my podcast. So that's what that girl is referring to. And she asked me, is there anything on the trip that I do that helps me? So something that I do on my trips is try and bring at least like 3 to 5 habits that I do at home that are really, really easy to integrate into my travel, that don't feel like I'm being strict or like forcing myself to go work out on a trip, because realistically, I usually don't have time to work out on a trip. I'm usually going on a trip for a specific reason. So I just went to Miami for my friend's bachelorette. I was not about to go like leave my friends and go work out, or leave and take time away from celebrating Delaney to go work out, you know what I mean? Even though I would have loved to, if I was on that trip alone, say it was like a work trip where I'm in my own hotel room by myself, yes, I would have worked out. because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I was there, like I was kind of bugging to work out. Literally, I would hear music at a restaurant and I'd like want to be at spin. Not want to be at spin in the moment, but I would be like thinking how much I miss spin. But I wasn't gonna let that like deter me from spending time on my trip and being intentional about the time. And I'm not gonna lie, when I got home, even taking 4 days off of spin, I like almost threw up at my class last week, which is honestly discouraging in a way, especially if you're somebody that really cares about your performance at the gym. But it's also a good reminder to show you guys like, that's fine. I went to the gym and yeah, it was kind of hard, but now I've taken 3 spin classes and I'm already back to feeling like 100% again. So yes, our bodies can kind of feel lethargic quickly, but at the same time, you can snap right back into it and your body knows what it's doing. So it's reassuring as well to know that like you're not losing track of what you've been working towards. And even if you are, that's just what it is. Maybe you lost a little bit of that performance, and at the end of the day, like that's fine, because we don't always have to be like, you know what I mean? Like if we're not training for something or a professional, you know what I mean? Like if we're just adding fitness into our life because it makes us healthier, I still feel healthy after a trip. I'm physically healthy after a trip of taking 4 days off. So if performance wise I'm not feeling my best at that one workout, it really shouldn't matter, because my goal is to feel healthy overall, and I am healthy overall, even taking those 4 days off, or even eating out for 4 days straight, eating whatever I want, whatever. Something that is really easy to integrate, back to what I was saying, like I take on the trip with me, is one, drinking water. I feel like it's really easy on a trip to forget your routine of drinking water, because maybe you couldn't bring your hydro flask on the airplane, or you're just like not next to water bottles, whatever. That's something that I like to do. Another thing is making sure I'm getting enough protein and like fuel, because I feel like especially if you go on trips with other people, it can be really easy if they have different eating habits or different hunger levels to like just kind of go with the flow. But I really respected one of the girls on the trip. She said at dinner, she was like, hey guys, like I just want to say that I want to make sure that we get enough food. Sometimes it's hard when we're talking, like I really want to make sure we get enough food, because I don't want to like go to bed hungry or feel like I didn't eat enough because it was like a group meal. I thought that was really cool to point out, because it also made the rest of us be like, oh yeah, like we really need to like make sure we're ordering enough. I thought that was really cool. Like I just love that. I was like, I'm gonna cry, that was so cute. But no, I'm the same way though. Like on a trip I get worried, especially like in the morning, if whoever I'm staying with, they don't like to eat in the morning, but I'm like starving first thing in the morning. But luckily my roommate Julia, she ate first thing in the morning. We went to Whole Foods and like stocked up the fridge. So that's another thing. Maybe like doing a really quick grocery run, having things in the fridge. Like we got jerky, we got protein shakes, I got a little pre-made salad, we got fruit, almonds, just having things to run to, especially like if you're staying in a hotel. And then I also got coffee, because I also wanted to keep my same routine. Like at home I wake up and I drink coffee and it kind of relaxes me for the day, because I love it. And I felt like if I was gonna wake up and just be like waiting till everybody's ready to go get coffee, it would kind of start my day off on like a hectic note. So I wanted to like bring as much as I could from home to the trip, even though that's not like something that's technically for my health. It just was something for my routine that makes me feel good. That's really the only advice I could give, is if it's something that you love, bring it with you. It doesn't have to technically be something that's healthy or something that adds to your fitness goals, whatever, just like something from your routine. Because specifically on travel, I find that like being thrown out of my routine does make me like mentally not feel as best. Sorry if it moved, I ran out of storage. But yeah, so just bringing things back from home to my trip made me feel like a little bit better mentally and more relaxed, not feeling like I was so thrown out of my routine. Okay, I wanted to answer this one because it's something that maybe I haven't touched on in a while, but somebody said, you look differently. Is there anything that you've changed from your routine or your fitness routine? They did mention that it looked like I had lost weight, and I don't want to like target this person at all. I feel like their intentions were really pure, and maybe they just weren't aware that like commenting on somebody's weight could trigger them or whatever. So I'm not targeting this person at all. It just feels like an opportunity to talk about something. Two parts to this. One, I don't weigh myself and I don't pay attention to like how fit I am at certain times, because that's not something that drives me with fitness. So honestly, the most time I ever recognize that in myself is when people comment about it, which is why I don't like having comments like that. And I usually don't. I feel like my page is pretty obvious most of the time when I talk about wellness and where my goals are coming from, and I talk about on my page really freely, body image and stuff. So typically I don't have a lot of comments like that. But when I do get comments like that, it tend to be like asking for my routine, asking what I've changed because they want to implement it into their routine. And I do understand that. Like mentally, it seems like the right question to ask, but in that situation, if you are somebody that is looking to see like, oh, what is somebody doing differently? Or what is the routine that they're doing because I want to look like them? One thing I want to say is it doesn't really matter what I'm doing or what I'm doing differently because you don't see everything. And even if an influencer says like, oh, this is something that I've added into my routine, they might actually not even realize that that wasn't even the one thing that made them look that certain way. And I'm not targeting that specific influencer or whatever. I'm just saying like, this is why I think it's so important to seek professional help if you're trying to make health changes, because the average person, the average influencer doesn't know all of the science that goes behind nutrition, the science behind exercise, and they can't give you the tips to make lifestyle changes. And I don't do that either because I'm not a dietitian. I do try and give fitness advice. I make it very, very intentional. Like I give very blanket advice because there's not one thing I could share online for everybody watching that would make sense for everybody's life because everybody's so different. And that's why like fitness assessments are really important when you start working with a personal trainer, like going in and telling them your history, your goals, your fitness level right now. Like there's so much that goes into it that there's not a blanket answer. And even though that can feel discouraging, like hearing that, because everybody wants like a quick answer, I just feel like it's my passion in life to share on my YouTube channel and like share to people that had the same questions that I had when I first started my fitness journey and wanted to copy other people, that like it just doesn't make sense and it's unfortunate, but there's not the secret sauce that's going to work for everybody. For you to feel your absolute best, you really need to get to know yourself. So there's that. The second thing is when somebody asks me like, oh, are you eating differently, or is your daily routine changing? Yes, I literally change what I do every single day. I am probably the most intuitive person that I know. I know a lot about nutrition, I know a lot about fitness, and I feel like because of all that knowledge that I have, I am able to adapt my routine so well. Like I know my body so well. I instantly know at night if I didn't eat enough for the day. Like I feel the difference in my body, or even just I'm able to look at a meal and see if it is enough protein, or if there is a carb on the plate, if there is fiber, if there is protein, if there is fat. Like I do have a lot of knowledge, therefore I'm able to live intuitively and not be very calculated, like not putting things in numbers, counting, all of that. And I'm not hating on anybody that is trying to learn about nutrition and like figuring out all of that. It's just like I've already been through so much in my fitness journey and I've come such a long way that living intuitively is actually really easy for me, and it's something that is natural. Like that is what intuitive living is. And I have seen things online like saying that people will be like, oh yeah, I live intuitively, and then they literally don't. So I don't know if people like think that I don't or something like that, because sometimes I do get questions that are like, oh, what did you change? But it's like I change things every single day. So yeah, I just wanted to like maybe share if you guys are new here and you didn't even know that I live my life intuitively, because sometimes it's easy to assume like when you see like a fitness influencer or somebody that really cares about their fitness results, as in performance wise, obviously I care because I'm going to spin all the time, I'm lifting all the time. Unfortunately, in our society, we assume that they're like very strict, but I'm very loosey-goosey. I let myself enjoy everything, and I am mindful about what I'm eating to make sure I'm eating enough, make sure I'm having colorful fruits and vegetables, feeling good mentally, physically, all of that, which is a lot and it can be overwhelming. But I'm living proof that at one point I obviously knew absolutely nothing, and now I feel like I have so much knowledge of myself, like being in tune with myself, and to what the proper needs I need for like to be healthy is, you know. And I'm learning more every single day. Like I always am learning, and it's just obviously a huge passion of mine. So I'm constantly watching like dietitians, fitness professionals, learning about fitness, learning about nutrition, and also being like more in tune with myself. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know if you like the sit down videos. I like to film these personally, but I do have a podcast where it's literally the same thing, so I like to keep them separate. But if you guys are new, don't forget to check out the podcast, my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I post on every single platform, literally every single day, and I share way too much online at this point. So I love you guys. I will see you guys next week, and again, thank you so much for watching.